Welcome back to Road Scholars for another quick rip. Spending 10-15 minutes, beautiful fall afternoon on campus. Leaves are changing, mid-60s, just a beautiful day and just a nice opportunity to share four very significant 911s. And we're looking at, four of 340 produced worldwide, 1988-89 Porsche 911 Club Sports. Of those 340 produced worldwide, only 28, and these are four of the 28 delivered to the US market, probably four of the most coveted, most sought after club sports period around the world. Just very significant special cars for what they are as individual chassis as well. So what is a 911 Club Sport? The G-body Club Sport, the body that style has become so popular in today's market, and the G50 transmission and all the talk. And I actually love the 915 transmission throughout the 80s, but they've become so popular. And what makes these so special? The rarity, obviously, of the 28 cars, and most of them were Grand Prix white of the 28 US models, but here we're looking at some special ordered colors, right? So just very significant from that standpoint. But again, what is a 911 Club Sport from 88-89? And essentially, if you think about Porsche and the significant 911s throughout the decades, you think about RS variants, 73, the 3-liter in 74, actually in 1984, the SCRS, which was a purposely built rally car, that they only made 20 cars, so uber rare. And here in 88, 89, Porsche comes out with 340 cars, low production around the world, only 28 in the United States market, 911s that were purposely built for club racing. Kind of the RS of the 80s in my thinking, where they were developed and produced like an RS, keeping in mind that RS theme of more power, lighter weight. So how did Porsche accomplish this, right? More power, we're not talking about bigger displacement, more horsepower, etc. We're talking about the transition of power and how they got to that power, and what else are the mechanical differences of a club sport over the standard Carrera models from 88, 89. And essentially, in the engine, there is a few differences, including, for example, hollow valves in the cylinder heads. You think about the suspension, it was an upgraded Bilstein suspension around the hubs, and you think about the short shift. They all came from the factory with a short shifter in the transmission, making for shorter throws from that drivability standpoint. And then you get to what I think the most important is the reprogramming of the DME, of the computer, right? And how the car talked to that fuel management, fuel injection system, where it allows the Club Sport variants to redline at a much higher RPM. They redline at nearly 7,000 RPM, so that's very significant. So it's a bit of a misnomer, in my opinion, that these club sports, I hear a lot that they don't really drive any different than a normal standard production car from 88 and 89, and which I can tell you, if you've ever driven one, you would not think that way, and it's absolutely false. So you think of this RS theme, lighter weight, you got a transfer of power, you got more RPM, the higher red line, and you have a weight reduction of what is about nearly 150 pounds. So how did Porsche accomplish this, right? Like in other RSs, no sound deadening, no undercoating underneath the car, obviously no back seats as you look inside the cockpit. The seats themselves are a lighter version. Obviously they're manual, there's no electronics in the seats, and they have a standard base with a sport back. And they're wrapped in cloth, which is one of the most beautiful seats, in my opinion, that Porsche ever put into a 911, with the Porsche script on the slant, right? And it's so fascinating to think about that Porsche was going through all these minute adjustments, because the cloth is actually lighter weight than the leather that they would have used in a standard Carrera, right? So not only are they gorgeous and they're awesome, with the sport back and the standard base, but they're lighter weight than the standard seat that was used in 88, 89. and you go through the cockpit, obviously the electronics are gone, no radio, no sunroof. A couple of them actually did, the US 28 cars come with a sunroof. But these club sports were nearly 150 pounds lighter, and which is significant in these early 911s. And you can definitely feel a difference when combined with those mechanicals, a totally different driving experience, more lively, more vibrant. You get a little more feedback, in my opinion, and just a phenomenal G-body car to pilot. And to find these 150 pounds, Porsche even went even further to lights. No lights in the front, in the front compartment. These little tiny lights that don't weigh much, but they threw those out too. The engine light in the engine bay is gone. The door pocket lids on the armrest on the door, they're gone. Right? And you think about these, no AC obviously, and to get at all this, Porsche started doing this with the RSs, and they continued into these club sports. Just very special cars from a driving experience, and just very, very exhilarating versus the standard Carreras from the late 80s. First and foremost, I want to thank a couple people who were willing to let us borrow their 88 and 89 Club Sport. I want to thank a local friend. This car, we sold him the dark blue car. It has approximately 6,000 miles. It's actually my personal favorite with the dark blue. Those of you who know me know I'm a blue fan. With the silver script, it's just absolutely stunning. It's actually one of my favorite 911s of all time. I want to thank him for letting us borrow it, getting it over here. We'll get it back safely, I promise. I want to thank Mr. Ingram and the Ingram Collection for letting us borrow the Irish Green, the one of one of the 28 US delivered cars, only one in Irish Green with black interior. Again, those seats just stunning. Approximately 9,500 miles at this point. Just a killer example of one of the US delivered club sports. And then we get to two cars that are actually in inventory. This just fresh off the truck last week, and kind of the impetus for sharing this afternoon. But Grand Prix White, of all the 28 club sports delivered to the US, most of them were Grand Prix White. Obviously, we're looking at some very significant club sports that were ordered special with special colors, and they were all 88s except for 7 cars got designated 89-year models. And this is actually one of the 89-year models, the Irish Green car. But back to the Grand Prix car, fresh off the truck, a great car. And you look in the interior in this, and there's those seats again. And that interior, actually one of only 2 of the 28 US delivered cars that has a radio and AC. So maybe not the weight savings, but you have the accoutrements, these things that we've grown accustomed to liking in our newer cars, that just a great driving experience with, it's nice to have AC. And quite frankly, I love music, and it's nice to listen to some tunes on those spirited drives. And actually, of all the 28 US cars delivered, the only one with burgundy interior. So it's not a white, black interior car. It has this lovely posh burgundy interior, which kind of makes me want to drive to a vineyard somewhere and have a glass of wine. But just a very special Grand Prix White 911 Club Sport. And moving to the summertime yellow car, probably one of the most significant club sports of all 340 club sports produced worldwide. Of those 340 cars, only one in summertime yellow. And obviously here it sits, only one with mahogany interior, and here it sits. So probably also what I would consider the greatest time capsule of all club sports that we've ever certainly come across. Of the 28 US cars, we've probably touched, serviced over half of them, probably 12, 15. We've sold the dark blue car. That was a few years ago, was the 3rd time we placed it. We placed this for the 3rd time. The first time we're seeing this car, and I love it. The 2nd, 3rd time that we're placing the summertime yellow car. Another white car, I forget exactly what chassis number it ended, what VIN, the last 3 of the VIN, but we've sold it 7 times. right? So we love these cars. We've seen a lot of them, and of throughout the years, certainly the most original surviving, time capsule with only 105 miles on the summertime yellow car with mahogany interior. So what an opportunity to share 4 of really the most significant, some of the most rare 911s ever produced, certainly delivered here to the US market. The 1988-89 Porsche 911 Club Sports, optioned M637. I hope you enjoyed a few talking points and another quick rip, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.